All right, guys, welcome back to the week 3 live summary class. Okay. I am expecting that you have gone through a few more videos of week 2 and you have tried to complete some of the assignments I have given. I will walk you through all the topics that we have for week 2. And here it is getting a little bit more advanced from here on. We were just dealing with basic, data types and some conditional operators and postfix, prefix, those kind of things. But now we are dealing with more advanced stuff. This is the initialization of object-oriented programming. Your career is going to be based on this particular knowledge. So please be mindful that you are learning this skill set to the core of your heart. This is very, very, very important. It is going to be your fundamentals for a long, long time. Okay? So we are going to talk about object-oriented programming. In order to understand object-oriented programming, we really have to understand what is Java class is all about. All right. And that is exactly what I'm trying to specify here. Okay. So if you go to this particular section, go to class 5, and here we are talking about things like what is Java class, what is objects, how to create a class, XYZ. All right. So far we have seen class like a simple text file where we have a main method and we are executing some programs through that main method. That's what we have seen. We have seen a main method. We are writing, we have a class here, and we have a main method within it. And then we are running few programs, running few syntax through this main method. That is what we have seen. But that is not what class is all about. Class has a much bigger meaning. Okay, and that is what we are trying to establish here. You can ideally build any type of use case with, let me just see what happened there. Okay, because there is an additional attribute. Okay, all right. So class has a much bigger meaning to it. And we will go through that in advance today, all right? So let's create a simple project first, and then we carry on from the PPT. So Java project week 3 summary class, all right? And finish. Good stuff. This one I delete. And we are good. All right. Now, what do I do is I go back to this diagram. You guys can see both my Eclipse and my PPT. Am I right? Yeah. Okay.
Not at the same time, if that's...
No, not at the same time, but I'm switching screens here. Okay. So what I'm trying to show you here is this particular entity called as class. So we have to think of class as something different than just holding a main method. Think of class as a template. What is a template? For example, if you have used Word, Microsoft Word, you know what is a template. For example, you're trying to create a letter. You're trying to create a letter, and this letter will be sent to hundreds of people. Now, this is not going to be the smartest way to rewrite the letter 100 times, Rather, what you will do is you will create a template that will just hold the basic requirements of that letter, and basically your the address to which you are sending the letter, and how do you address the letter to someone, like dear Daniel, something like that. That has to be changed. So basically you can create a letter, or create a letter with a constant body, and you are going to make some adjustment to that main template so that you can generate hundreds of letter addressing to the right people. That is basically template means. In Java as well, the concept is little bit similar. So the idea is this. Idea is that templating means in terms of programming is that you're going to think of a particular actor, think of a particular actor in your story. For example, I'm trying to hold, say, 5 different car information. One way I can do that is I can create 5 different classes. In each and every class, I can create each car information. I can hold each car's information, and I can say, okay, I have these 5 cars with me. That is one way of doing it, but that is the stupidest way, right? The right way to do is to use a class. In the class, we are going to brainstorm and figure out what are the attributes and properties I can think of a car. When I say attributes meaning what? Like the brand of the car, like the model of the car, like how many seater it is, what is the engine size, okay? And properties, like what is that car is capable to do. The car can start, it can stop, it can accelerate, it can deaccelerate, it can, probably a car can have a special feature, it can run fast with nitro boost, something like that. So these are the properties of a car. So we have to think that who is our hero in this story. The hero in this story is my car, a car. And what are the attributes that I can think, and what are the properties I think I require for the car? That is the first question that you have to ask for yourself. If you think of if you are trying to hold information of students, all right? So okay, students is the hero for me. He's the actor for me, right? So the student needs certain attributes, like what? Name, gender, which school this student is from, the location, which subjects they are learning, correct? This can be the attributes of a student. And what are they doing? They are probably starting a class. They are stopping a class. They are, I don't know, maybe going for PT training. They're going for sports. They're going for swimming. They're learning, extracurricular activities in the school. These are the properties. So you have to think and ask yourself, who is my actor, and and what kind of properties and attributes I can think of for this actor. That is what you have to ask. All right. So once you ask this particular question, you are going to lay out your class, correct? In my situation over here in this diagram, I'm trying to hold 5 card information, which means I can hold one template. I can create one template and hold multiple different attributes in it. Okay, so let's just do that. So in our project, I'm going to create a new package just to give it a folder structure. So I'll just say car, just like that. And then in this car package, I'm going to create a template. And name of this template is also car, but it starts with a capital C. That's the naming convention that you can find for Java classes. It always starts with a car, I mean, with a letter, capital letter. But in this case, when I'm creating a class car, in this case, you will see that I'm not really hitting this main method checkbox. I'm not hitting main method checkbox. Make sense? I'll say finish, just like that. Good. I have my public class car, which is under package car. Good. All right. Next thing is we have to think of the attributes of the car, and we have to think of the properties of the car. Good. What are the attributes we can think of, right? For example, we're thinking of a brand name. So we can go public. Okay, we'll go to the data types later on. I mean, access modifier later on. But for now, public. And you can see I'm not using any static keyword also. Just keep that in mind because there's a significance, right? Which I'll talk about it later when I discuss about static and dynamic. But for now, you see, I'm not really adding any static keyword. So I'm just saying public string brand, right? And I'm going to give I'm not going to give any information. I'm just going to say a semicolon, which means that the variable is created, but I'm not really initializing any value to it. Make sense? Again, public string, and we will be model. All right. Next thing is we'll go for, say, seating, correct? So how many seats we have? So it's an integer, all right? Integer, we'll say seats. And we'll go for another one, public double, which is a decimal pointer. And we'll see engine, correct? These are my attributes of this car, okay? I can give a property to this car. For example, the car can start and stop. So public void property, meaning nothing but a method. So attributes are variables and properties are methods. Okay, that's how I call it. So public void, and we'll say start, right? This method has no argument. When you call this method, what it will do is it will basically print out certain information. That's pretty much about it. It'll print out certain information. So we'll go sysout, and all I do is that just brand variable, and I'll say plus, and then I'm going to say another space here between the pluses. I'm going to give a space, something like a dash here to basically keep these two words separated. It's called as concatenation operator. This is a string. The string is getting attached to another string and then another string. So I'll say model, brand and model, and then plus, and then again I can say is starting. Just a fancy way of saying this brand and model is starting. Similar, I'll do another to say stopping. Stop. This is my, these two are my properties of the car. For example, stopping. Good stuff. And then I can have another method that will be like to fetch the information of the car. So public void get info. Okay, something like that. Or get detail. Let's say get detail. By the way I'm writing the method names please be mindful the way I'm writing the method names. Just 1 minute. Hold on, please. Okay, so get details, right? So what details? Get details is a simple method that will simply print out all the informations of a particular car, okay, into the screen. So that's what I'm going to do. Just give me a second. Let me actually, yeah. How would I do it? No problem at all. We'll just go and print them out like so, right? So we'll say brand, model, correct? To make it look a little bit fancy, we will basically write with some information like seats and plus seat, and the next one is similarly, we'll go engine, and we'll say engine, correct? And this is brand, and this is model. That's simple, correct? So I have just these 3 properties. 1, to get the information about the car, and another 2 is to start and stop. And then we have an attribute. So look, I just created a template. Please understand that this is a simple template. I have actually not built any car so far, meaning this template, you don't see any information about the car. I am not creating any BMW or any Mazda or any Mercedes. I'm not. I have just laid out a simple plan saying this is what my car will look like. This is my car template. Keep that in mind. This is the basics of class. Okay, and class means object-oriented programming, which is what you are trying to learn here. Okay, now I've built a template. How do I use the template? All right, let's go back to our PPT here. Okay, so we have, let's take an example of a car. A car can be of various brand, model, size, engine size, seating capacity, etc. But at the end of the day, they all come from the same car template as I just created. So from this car template, I'm going to actually pass on the information. What is information? The data is the information for us. Volkswagen, brand, model is Golf, engine size is 1.5, seating is 5, correct? That's the data. That is the information. Template is not created for the information. Okay, template is created so that I can basically create an object out of it. What is an object? I'll come to that. And that object will actually give the meaningful information for that template on a particular instance. Let me explain that. Okay, it's very, very interesting to understand. So you have your brand, so you have the Volkswagen, Aston Martin, and Suzuki, correct? So let's just see how to create a class. I showed you that, simple as anything. I've created the attributes and the methods. I've shown that as well. And then what is class instance and how to create one? That is where object-oriented programming actually comes in place. So look, as discussed earlier, class is a template. We can use the same template and create multiple copies of the class. These copies are called instance or objects. This copy is the copy which is going to actually hold the information, right? Which is going to actually hold the information, all right? So this is called an instance. You have a class, which is a template, and you're creating instance, which is actually holding the information. How do you create an instance from the class? It's with the new keyword, and this is how you do it. You just go back and you create for example, I'm creating a main method here, all right? Okay, now you understand something. This is your card template, right? But I really cannot run this class like I used to do earlier with the main method. If you remember, when you click on a class, you have this run as Java application. You see, for this class, you don't have that. There is no Java application, run as Java application. It's not there. Okay, you have run configuration. Why? Because JVM is not sure how to trigger this class. Why? Because there is no main method. That's why. So to run this project, to run this class, to run this particular class, car class, I need the help of a main method. Meaning, I'm not going to create a main method right in this class because this is something that I'm using as a template and template only. I'm going to create another class and we'll say test car, something like that. Okay. And we'll say main. This class is going to have a main method, finish. Good. That's my main class. And here, if I go and run this, run as Java application, then you have this Java application option as well. Because this is a main method, JVM understands how to execute it. Good. All right. So this main method is not going to do anything on its own unless I hook up the car template over here. How do I hook up? I'm going to, if you remember, the way we write it, the way we create a string variable. How do we create a string variable? We say public, okay? We say string, and then we give a name to the variable, say name or something like that, correct? So that's how you know that you're creating a name variable, which is of string type. You know that. Similarly, I'm going to create an object of car class. Car is a class that you just started, you just created right now. And I'm going to create an object of that car class. Something like this. I say car, and I say, not var, car, and I say Audi, right? This is a car class, and I'm creating an object of the car class, and I'm saying new car. What is exactly happening? As soon as I'm hitting this line equals new car, what's happening is that in the memory, let me quickly draw this for you. So basically in the JVM, there are two memories that we should be understanding. There is a diagram as well, but let me just quickly show you this. So there's two memory. One is called heap memory and one is called stack memory. Okay, so stack and heap. We will talk about that in details later. Okay, so we have this heap and stack. Okay, so now what we do is we basically create this instance, this object of car. As soon as you're creating an object of the car, in the heap memory, a memory or a location will be allocated for this guy, which is Audi, Okay. Again, if I say car, Benz equals new car, then it's the same. You create Benz. This is so in this memory location, there is ideally no connection between these two objects. There is no connection whatsoever. You can think of them, these two have their own small world, but they have their own data set or own information. So you can say individual space. I'll write it like this: objects will have individual space to hold their information, right? To hold their information, individual space to hold their information. Okay, so meaning that if I am going to run this line number 7, line number 11, it is going to create two different spaces. Let's quickly see that whatever I'm saying is actually true or not, because you see the way I teach is a little different. I don't teach just by going through the theory. I show you things happening on runtime, because when you see things, you remember better. That's the whole point. So meaning that I'm going to run the program right at this condition, and I'll show you something. So what I'll do is I'll run them in debug mode, because I want to inspect these two objects runtime, right? So I'm going to say sysout, and I'm going to say a breakpoint. I'll put a breakpoint, and then I'm going to just trigger this. How do you trigger this? From the test car. Okay, so just say debug as Java application. That's it. And you will see line number 12, it will pause. Okay, the program is not terminated. It is in the pause state. Good. All right. So let's just try to inspect what is really happening at this stage. So if I just hover my mouse on Audi, let's see what happened. What happened is that you see it is saying over here car.car, meaning you are addressing the car class. You're in the test car class, but you're addressing the car class because I'm hovering on the Audi object, which is a car object. And you see there is some information here. What is that? It's a hash code. It's a hash code of the object that has been created. You can think of it as an identifier, right? You can think of it as an identifier. If I again create another object of car, and it will have another identifier. Correct? Okay. And you see at this stage, right at this stage, in the memory, you have created an object, which is this guy. Okay. And you see you have these variables, which are the attributes of the car. And you see brand equals null, engine equals 0.0, model equals null, seat is equals to 0. Why is that? Number one, you can very well understand that for this object, you are able to access these attributes. Number one, that you can understand that. And number two is, why do you see, oh my God, hold on, sorry. Let me hover on this. Okay. And let me try to draw. No, I can't. As soon as I draw it, it just leaves the screen. That's fine. Let me draw without. No, I cannot. Sorry, man. Yeah, I wanted to just highlight a few things. That's okay. Okay. So why are we seeing these information here? Null 0.0, model null, seed 0. Why is that we are seeing here? Because there is no default value I have added for these attributes in the car template. If you remember that, if you go back to the car and if you see these attributes, there is no default value. There is no initialization of this variable, correct? I didn't initialize them with some data, which is why this guy, that is Java runtime on runtime, it is setting some default values for this variable depending on its data type. So brand is a string. So the default data type string will have a initial value of null. Double will have an initial value of 0.0. Again, a string, null, and integer, a 0. That's how you just created an object, but there is no information yet. Good. Similarly, bends at this stage, they both look like the same. Again, a car object, a different hash code, but the same data, as you can see. At this stage, they're not really looking different. They're all same. The difference will come in. So there is a difference between these two guys, obviously. And that the difference is basically the hash code, the location of these two entities. So Audi and Benz are having two different locations. That's how they are different, all right? But I mean, from the data perspective, they are not different. Okay, let's do something. Let me just go back to expression, this watch tab here, and let me clear my screen. And let me delete this information that I was having from earlier run. And over here, I'm going to run a simple code, okay? I can run the code. I can say, just tell me if Audi, the variable, the object Audi, dot equals Benz or not. I'm just trying to understand if Audi is equal to Benz or not, because Audi and Benz are having same data. At this stage, the data value that I have for both of them are same. But does it make them equal? How do I know that? I can run this on runtime. Audi equals Benz. If I hit enter, it says false. They're not equal. They're not equal because of why? As I said, different locations. All right? Okay. So now we will get into it and then we'll try to fill up some meaningful information. How do I fill up meaningful information? So from the class perspective, what we have learned that we need a template. That's why we created a template. Okay. Number two, we need a main class to really access the other class, which is a template, in order to make it really work. Okay. How to make it work? With an object of the class that you have created as a template. And then once you create the object of it, you are now entitled to really access everything that is inside the class. Meaning I can say Audi.brand equals Audi. I can say that. Do you see? Did you understand what I'm doing? I am in a different class now. I'm in test car class now, but I'm setting the value for Audi object, which is a car template, if you're understanding what I mean. Audi dot model. I don't know. It's A3 maybe. A3. And let's say Audi dot engine. Say 2.2. And say Audi dot seats. Maybe it's a 4-seater. Okay, that's my Audi instance. All right. Now I can also call its properties, meaning I can say Audi dot start car, Audi dot stop car, sorry, stop car. And then I can say Audi dot get details. Do you understand what I'm doing? I am accessing all the attributes and properties of the car class, which is a template. I can do that with this dot operator, but I can only do it with the dot operator if I am creating an object of the car class. Or there's another way, which is a static way. I'm not talking about that, but for now, with the object scenario, I'm creating an object of the car class. I named it as Audi. And with this Audi object, I am setting the values inside it and then returning the values, or I'm just calling the properties. Make sense? We can do the same thing for Benz dot brand equals Benz Benz dot model equals E350 Benz dot seats, seats or engine equals 2.0 and Benz dot seats equals what? 50. Good. And then all I can do is I can just simply call the methods Benz dot start, Benz dot stop, and Benz dot display. Get details, correct? Make sense? I have these two guys created. Let's try to execute them one by one. I'll do it in the debug mode. So test car debug as Java application. You know, I created an object of Audi line number 7. Now I'm in line number 8. I'm going to go step by step. So step over 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. The line number 13 is not yet executed. I'm just waiting for it to execute. I have not executed. I'm going to hover my mouse one more time on the Audi object, like so. And now we see a difference. What do we see? We see a new hash code. It is of the same hash code that it was there. And then you see the information here. Brand equals to Audi, engine equals to 2.2, A3, model A3, seats 4. Where did it come from? From here, as obviously. Correct? And then I'm going to run them now. So start, A3 is starting, Audi A3 is starting, stopping, and then you have these information printed out first. Okay? So that is basically a car template. Let me model. Okay. Right. Model it. Okay, that's my, that is space here. Okay, good stuff. Similarly, I can do the same exact thing for the Benz class. Okay, so let me just quickly run the whole program and then we'll see. Run as Java application. Good, and you can see all the information was printed out. Can you guys tell me altogether whether you have understood this particular concept or not? What is class? Why is this class used for? what is an object, and what do we have in the class, and how to create an object, and how to call the attributes and the properties of the class. Can you please confirm you have understood that properly?
Yep.
Christy, your voice is very low. I'm not sure. I can't hear you well.
Can you hear me better now?
No. It's very, very slim. It's very slim. It feels like that you're talking from a far distance.
All right, yeah, sorry, I think it's the setting of my laptop. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, now it is better. Now it is
All
better.
right, okay, yeah. Yeah, no, I understand the concept.
Mhm.
Yeah, thanks for that. I'm sorry, I just wanted to ask, I was the video that I was watching in for week 2. I know there's another way that you could like create the methods using the setters and getters.
Yeah, you can do that also. It's not a
Yeah.
big deal. It's kind of the same thing.
Okay.
Here I'm setting them in the test class, test card class.
Yeah.
But there in that case, I was using a setter getter, which was another better way of doing it. There are multiple ways you can set the values.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, even that is possible. Daniel, what about you? Did you get it?
Yes, I am. Yeah, I'm following.
Okay. Rebecca, what about you?
Yeah, it's okay. I was almost saying what Christy just said, that the video I watched, it wasn't like this, but it's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. Which is why, you got to see the video and you got to see what I'm explaining. There will be a little bit of difference, but then you are learning more about the same problem, how to solve it. So expanding your knowledge even further. That's the idea.
That's fine.
So you got this point, okay? Now let's try to really, so what we have understood? We have understood that, okay, card is a template. We have created a card template. We have got some objects created out of it. That's good. And then we are printing some values. That's okay as well. But then can we really create a system out of it? A system that you can really design from whatever we have learned so far. A system could be like, I don't know, maybe a car washing system, a car washing garage, an automated car washing garage, something like that. Okay. So we're going to assume that to wash each brand, each car, we're going to take like 10 seconds. Okay, this is the simple assumption we are taking. 10 seconds to wash each car, and I'm trying to create a car washing system. Okay, so let's just create something. Let's just create something, and then we will talk about it. So, all right, we have a main. We're saying this is a test car, all right? So that's fine. Let's give it a name to our, okay, let me think of something, hold on. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a washing, a garage, all right? A garage is an automatic garage, all right? So here I have two actors in this game, in this problem statement. One is a car and one is a garage, all right? So let's create an entity called garage, a new class, and we'll say it is a garage, which is going to start washing our cars, something like that. Okay, it's a normal class. So this is a garage, and what can I keep here? What can I keep here? So this I'm not really thinking of a payment processing system or something like that. I'm not thinking about that. I'm just thinking of something like a turbine or a machine which accepts cars entries and then simply wash them, something like that. So let's create something similar. I'm going to use arrays here. Okay, there's another assumption. Assumption is that this garage can hold 5 cars at a time. Okay, so I have already spoken about arrays, right? So I'm going to create an array now. All right, I'm going to create an array now. Array of size 5. Okay, so I'm going to say public, and I'll say it's an array. So array of so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an array of cars. So far we have seen what? We have seen arrays of string. We have seen arrays of integer, right? But now I'm going to create an array of car. Car is something that I built a minute back, right? But I can use that template and I can create an array of cars like this, car array. Okay, and I'm saying that let's name this entity as, say, cars or car list or car to wash, something like that. Car to wash, something like that. Okay. This array is a predefined array, meaning it can hold 5 cars at a time, not more than that. Okay, so new car, and then I'm going to say 5. You understand? I'm creating a predefined, like, automated machine, a car washing machine, which can take 5 cars at a time, and one by one it will keep on processing 1 car at a time. Think of this as an attribute of this garage. Attribute. There can be many other attributes as well, but for me in this game, in this particular situation, I'm considering this an attribute, and then I'm going to start a process to wash the car. All right. So let's say it as properties, and let's say that I'm going to create a method, and this method is simply going to start washing the car. So I'm going to say car wash, public void car wash, just something like that. Okay, this method is here. Good. Now this method is, we're going to assume that this method is going to keep on washing the cars, and between each washing it takes around 10 seconds to wash the cars. Correct? So how we can do this? We can do something like, let me think. So I'm going to say a for loop. All right, a for loop. For int, because I have to wash one by one each car, correct? So let me think. So int I equals 0, I less than car to wash dot length, correct? And I plus. Got it? So I'm going to just loop around the main list of cars, because I want to keep on washing the car at a time. Okay. So let's just see how we can start the car washing. Basically, car washing means what? We're just going to display some data, not more than that. So this is a car array, ideally, correct? I have to, so if it's a car array, that means what? That means with the help of this car array or a template car, I can actually access all of these information, ideally. So these information is coming out of a template, correct? So think about it, just to try to visualize that I have a list of cars. I have a Benz, I have a Audi, I have a BMW, I have Kia, I have a Mazda. I have these 5 cars with me right now. So this list of car, if I can somehow supply it to this array, then this array is basically holding what? It's basically holding the information of each and every car that I have created earlier, that I've created in my test car class, if you remember, by creating the objects. So I can pass on all of those objects inside this array, and then it is going to be a list of cars for me. And if that's the case, then what do? I can process that information to further use it in my benefit. Meaning, I can do something like this now. I can say public, sorry, I'll just say sys out. YSO, right? And I will say just simply so car2wash is the object, right? Is the array, right? So I can say array. All right. So this is an array, but to get the information of each and every entity of that array, I have to use an index. I have showed you that earlier, meaning I can just say in bracket I. If I do that, then that's one of the index. So if this is the index, if this is car2wash, if this isn't car2wash, then all of these cars are having its own index, correct? So this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. So if I say car2wash, and in square braces, if I say 1, then that means what? That means Audi, right? Exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm saying car2wash of index I, meaning whatever the value of index is, that's going to replace. And that's how I will know which car it is. And I'm going to say, just say dot, because this is an object, right? This guy is a car object, right? So I'm going to say now dot. As soon as I said dot, look, as soon as I said dot on the car index, a car2wash index, I'm able to get brand, engine, model, get details, and start and stop and everything. See, start, stop, everything. Because each and every car is listing in this array. So if I say array of I, meaning whatever the value it is, and dot, and then I say brand, and then I say model, just like that. Same exact thing, just model. Correct? And then I just say over here, washing started. Something like that. Okay, washing started. So I'm starting the washing for this brand and whatnot. Correct? Now, between each and every car wash that happens, I want to give a simple, like, what do you call this, waiting time of 10 seconds. Okay, I can do that very easily, but I'll do it in a loop so that I can print out some cool message. So I'll say for int j equals 0 to 9 j. So this is a loop within a loop. I'll tell you why I'm doing this. Okay, so this is less than 10, which means it is like 10 seconds, and j++. Okay, so how do I say it is 10 seconds because I'm going to use another system here called thread.sleep. All right. Thread.sleep. Thread.sleep is basically sleeping this entire process for exactly whatever time you're setting, meaning I can just set like 1000 milliseconds, which is like 1 second. Okay. So let me just add throws declaration here. And there's a this guy throws an exception. I'll talk about exception later on. Just for now, if you get an error like this, just hover your mouse on it and just say add throws declaration. Just click on this link. That will set up this information over here. Okay, and the error will be gone. So I'm just saying wait for 10 seconds, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just say this out SYSO, and I'm going to say not print ln, but I'm going to say just print, and within print I'm going to say dot. Okay. Actually, I will say, yeah. 1 minute. Progress. Washing in progress. Washing in progress. Okay. And then I'm going to say dot. Okay, we'll see how exactly this will play out when I run it. Once the entire loop is over of 10 seconds, or let's do 5 seconds, it's easier. Okay. Once the entire loop of 5 seconds is over, thread.sleep is actually controlling each and every second. 1000 millisecond means 1 second. So this is going to run for 5 seconds. And then over here, I can just say, washing finished.
Sorry, Civic. Yeah, I wanted to ask. Why is there 2 of the car to wash index.brand? Like I see you have it.
My bad. It's supposed to be model.
All right. Okay. And then the second for loop that says j less than 5. Were you saying that that's the second? Is that the time?
Yeah. This is basically I could have avoided that. I could have avoided that by just giving a thread.sleep of 5 seconds.
Right. Okay.
I wanted to just simply print out in a cooler way in the system, in the console, so that it looks good. It will exactly feel like that I'm trying to wash the car. Okay.
Right. Okay.
So that is why I have added that. I mean, I could have easily avoided this for loop, but I just wanted to print out a little bit cooler. That's it. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Once the entire car wash method is called, all the cars are finished. I'm going to say washing started, washing finished, and this is here. It will say progress, and then I'm going to say another method, another property. Okay. I'll add another property here. So this, okay, think about it. This property is holding just car washed method. This is where the washing is happening. But how do I load the car? Just think about it. You have 5 cars coming into the garage, right? You have to load these cars into a system so that the system can function. I didn't do anything in this project right now that can load that car. How can I load the car? There has to be a way to load the car. How can I do that? So what I can do is something like this, maybe. I can use this, maybe. Let's just see. So public void load cars. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create what? An array of, I already have an array of cars in the car to wash, but somehow I have to load the data. So I'm going to say car dot cars. What is that? Var_args. So what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to use all the concepts that I have shown you so far so that it can make sense. I could have done this in a much easier way through list or something like that. But I'm trying to take a a different path here because I want to show you how to tackle this kind of situation with whatever knowledge you have right now. So I'm just saying, okay, cars. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them all, these all values, this is a var args. So I'm going to put them into this car wash system or this array attribute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say a for loop, a for each loop rather, and this for each loop will run for cars, car colon cars, okay? Because you remember how the for each loop works. It doesn't require any kind of indexing or whatever it is. It can run straight through the arrays, is a collection. So if you have a collection, you can just say, what is that type of the collection you're trying to work with? So it is a car collection. It's a car collection and it is holding cars. So I'm just saying a car is a data type here. And the object I'm creating here for this loop is car. And this is the var args, right? And all I'll do is I will pass this value, this guy, one by one into this car wash. How can I do that? I can use a counter int count equals 0. And what I'll do is I'll just say car to wash of index count, right? And I'm going to say equals to, I'm going to say car. And that means what will happen? Each and every iteration of the for loop, okay? One by one, the car will keep on getting registered inside the main holder. This is the main holder. This is the main list that is being processed over here, right? Which is actually going to be used by the car washing system. So loading cars will simply load these car into this attribute, all right? And I'm going to say count plus plus because I have to keep on incrementing the count as well so that a new car can be added. Make sense? Okay. What else? Just 1 minute. I have to think of something, right? I have to think of something that is so. Okay. So I'm going to just say few more things to make our application. Okay, I'll do that in a while. I'll add few more checks, validations. So, but for now, this is my system, simple system, and it can very well run. But what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go back to my test car. In the test car, I'm going to remove all my start and stop and get details. I'll remove them, not needed for now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create 5 different cars actually. Okay, so Audi Mercedes done. I'm going to create another one. I'll name this as Kia, and then Kia, and then this is Kia.brand, brand equals Kia, Kia.model, equals Niro. Kia dot engine is 1.6 and Kia dot seats is 5 equals 5. That's one. Another one would be a Mazda. Mazda, right? And we do Mazda dot brand equals Mazda. Mazda dot model equals Mazda 6. Mazda dot engine 2.2 And Mazda dot seats is 5. And finally, another one could be a BMW. BMW and BMW dot brand BMW dot model. I don't remember. What was that? Something I don't remember right now. Oh, sorry, X5. Right. Another one is BMW dot seats or engine 2.0 and BMW dot seats. Right. It's 5-seater. Okay. I have my 5 cars listed out right here with the right data. Good stuff. Now, to really test my whole system, I have to add in a garage object also. So let's say garage. Garage. And let's say give the name of the garage as Sweeney's Garage. Okay, equals new. Something like that. Okay. Good stuff. Okay. Good stuff. I created another garage object. Okay. Now in this guy, I have to add in what? I have to add in. I have to call what? The load car system. So I'll say Sweeney's. Sweeney's dot load cars. Load cars is what? Is a method that accepts what? Varargs. Varargs meaning what? I can simply pass on my objects like Benz, just like that, Benz, comma Kia, comma Kia, comma Mazda, comma BMW, comma Audi. Right? Right? Did you see that? I can keep on passing n number of data into it. N number of. Okay, good stuff. That will load my data into the Sweeney's Garage. Okay. Next, we can start the car washing. So Sweeney's dot car wash. Actually, let's give the name to it a little bit different. Okay, that's it. Car wash. That's fine. Okay, here I'm getting an error, which is basically saying that I should have the exception handled here as well. So that's fine. I added that. That's it. Okay. Till line number 36, I think everybody is quite okay because I'm just simply creating different cards object. Till line number 36, everything should be fine. 35, everything should be fine. Now what? Now we'll start talking about 38 and onwards, putting a breakpoint, and let's just walk this through. All right. Okay, let's first run this, and then we'll do a walk through of this. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll just quickly run the test car, run as Java application, and let's just see. Washing in progress. 5 seconds. Okay, I should have. Wait a minute. That looks bad. It looks bad. Hold on. So I should stop this. It's working, but I wanted to print out in a different way. What am I doing? This is happening. And then right after this, I should be printing a sys out over here in order to just go to the next line. Otherwise, it's kind of going next to next. That's not looking good. All right, so I mean, the entire system works fine. It's just that not presentable. Let's run again. Okay. Okay. How cool is that? Whatever we have learned so far with that itself, I can create a system like this. So classes are very, very, very important and powerful if you know how to use it. Let's try to understand what's really happening from a debugging perspective. Line number 38, 40 actually. And let's debug this. Debug as Java application. And okay, not here. It stopped here, but I can keep running. Line number 40. Okay. Just 1 second, guys. Okay. So load cars, correct? This is loading the cars. I'm going to put another breakpoint under the load cars method, which is right here. And let's just resume it. So I'm here in load cars. All the cars are here now. You see, every card is having their own different hash code, correct? And just let's keep on running them, okay? So what I'll do is console here. And then what I'll do is I'll keep on loading them. Okay, look, into the array, the first car got loaded. This is the car to wash array. First car got loaded, okay? Right? Then I keep on doing that. All 5 are done. So you can see under the list, all cards are loaded. Once I have all the cards loaded, then you know what will happen here? I'll keep on going through each and every card, start the washing, and then finish the washing. Make sense? Any questions that I can answer?
Yes, sorry, I wanted to ask on this this class under the attribute, under the attribute you put what do you call it, access identifier, public car, that's for the array. I was just wondering, do we always have to put an access identifier there? The reason I'm asking is because I think when we did arrays in the previous classes, it was, we just like declare the array without putting the public in front of it. So like, I guess my question is—
Oh, no. This one is just a access modifier. You can wish not to. You can make this private as well. But yeah, but I'm just keeping it public for everything because I have not really spoken about the data structure, the access modifiers yet.
Yeah. Okay. So in this case, could we actually take out the public and just leave it that way? Oh, you have to? All right, okay.
Yeah, no problem at all. That's totally fine.
Oh, okay.
1 minute, what did I do? Why my this thing is not coming? Hold on. Projects. There is this guy. My left-hand side is gone. There's a way to get it back. Sorry, window, editor, show view, yeah. Show view, Project Explorer. Sorry. No. Window, show view, Project Explorer. Yeah, okay. Okay, so whatever I just showed you so far, I've shown you so far, do you think it is doable? Daniel, what do you think? Is it making sense that what is exactly happening? Why the concept of class and objects are so important? Did you get that? Daniel? Hello?
I'm sorry. I think, sorry, I didn't get a question.
I'm asking, did you understand how did I basically created the system?
Okay, I did follow, but I think I would still need to go through again.
How much have you followed so far?
So I understood the concept of the class part.
That is done long back. That happened 1 hour back. I'm teaching for last 1.5 hours. Class have finished long back. I'm talking about this system that I built right now, this garage system. Did you get the understanding?
That's what I'm saying, that I will still have to go through. I still need a bit of explanation for it, for the this particular system you just built.
Can you tell me which part was confusing?
So from the parts where you have basically from the line 17.
Line 17? Line
Yes.
17. Okay. Did you understand what am I doing here in line number 9 to 15?
So that should be
Okay, let's do a quick check on everyone. Let's go to Ellen. Can you explain me what exactly did I do from line number 9 to line number 15? I mean line number 15. I want you to read line by line and tell me what exactly we were able to achieve here.
From my understanding, so line 9, you are loading the cars. I think the first car before the next car in brackets, it's coming from the, is it the class, from the template?
No, from line number 9, you just tell me, number 1, what is this?
So that is loading the car.
Is that what it is, Ellen? What is this? Load cars, what is this? It's okay if you're not saying it right, but say something. It is a data type. Is it a variable? It is a method. What is it?
It's a method.
Okay, good. Yeah, it is a method. And this method is accepting a parameter, right?
Yeah.
What is this parameter type? What type of parameter is it?
It's a string.
Is it a string? Do you say is it a string?
Uh,
What is it? It is not string. Hassan, what is it?
So that's just a variable of varargs, just to accept the cars that are going to be coming in.
Yeah, so it's a varargs for varargs argument for cars. Okay, Let's go to the line number 11. And let's ask Kathy, what am I doing line number 11 to line number 14?
Yeah, so you created a for each loop,
Mhm.
and in that line, in line number 11, you call the vararg, I don't know what is called, variable or
Argument, yeah, that's
argument.
that's
Yeah.
a collection I have called, yes. Line number 12, what am I doing?
In line number 12. No idea. Sorry.
What is cart to wash? What is this guy cart to wash?
Cart,
What is it?
that's the array you created.
Array of what?
Array of cars.
Exactly. So if it's an array of cars, if you remember, if I am creating an array of string, so for example, string array and names, and I'm giving names here, say Sovic and say Dean and whatnot, right? And then if I just say names of one, then what is the value I should be getting?
Dean.
Exactly. So basically it means that it is following across the indexes, correct?
Yeah.
0 and 1. So if I say cart to wash, which is an array of car, and if I say in brackets a count, and the value of count I have set here as 0, that means I'm saying the cart to wash of index 0, in the index 0, put the first card that you get out of this varargs.
Right.
I mean, this is very easily understandable by debugging, which is why I am so much emphasizing on debugging, because if I just run this again, I'll just show it to you. Show cards, test card, debug as Java application. And if I do that, you will see that where am I? Test cards. No, I think I didn't do it the right way. Hold on. Testing loops, no. Test cars. Test cars, debug as Java application. Yeah, so I'm here now, and I just go to the next. Okay, so you can see here, before this line even got executed for the first time, guys, please focus. Ellen, Rebecca, please focus. Line number 12, if I am not even executing at this stage, the value of count is 0. Look, I'm hovering my mouse. It is saying the value of count is 0. Cart to wash, this array is an empty array. Look at it very clearly. Cart to wash is an empty array, all null values. There are 5 slots, 0 to 4, 5 slots, all of them are null value. There is nothing here at all. Line number 12 is not yet executed, and I'm executing now. Okay. Now, if I just go and hover my mouse on the cart to wash array, what do you see? The first slot got filled up. Look at it clearly. Make your eyes big to see this. Car, first car got loaded. How do you know which car got loaded? Look at here. There is an expand button. Click on this. Look what you see. Brand Mercedes, engine 0 to 2.0, model E350, seats 5. So first Mercedes got loaded. Make sense? Ask me if you're not getting this. Rebecca, are you getting this?
Yes, okay.
So the first car got loaded. At this stage, count value is still 0. Okay, I'm saying count plus plus. Count got improved or incremented to 1 now. So I'm now going through the second index of the cart to wash array. So look, I'm coming here, going through it again. So cart to wash now is going to have 2 cars into the array. Look. 0th index, it was Mercedes. It's still Mercedes. Index number 1, it is Kia. Look. And this order of cars, the way it is coming, it is controlled by the way I have sent the car inside this method. How? Here, Benz and then Kia. The next will be Mazda, BMW, Audi. In that exact order, this car value, cart to wash array, it gets getting loaded with all the cars. Ellen, is it making sense?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Once that is done, this property is over. This property was only called in order to load my cars into the primary system. The system is nothing but an array. Next is the car wash system, which is again simply looping around this car to wash array and printing out the brand and the model with some washing started and washing finished. That's pretty much about it. I didn't write anything rocket science. It's a very, very simple system I have created. Be focused. I want every one of you, when you're coming to me in this class, to be isolated. I hate people who don't come to the class with that in mind. If you are learning this in a busy environment with everyone around, you will not learn a bit. If anybody is practicing that, please don't do anymore. This is a 3-hour class. Every weekend, I'm sure you can find a spot where nobody will disturb you for 3 hours. You sit and learn with me because this is your deal breaker. These are the fundamentals, and everything we will be learning will be based on these concepts. In future, we will be building frameworks and whatnot. And if you don't learn them, if you don't learn the basics, nothing will make sense to you. So keep that in mind very, very clearly. Okay, so that's how I built my simple car washing system. So whatever I have covered so far is in this video, in this class today. Just a minute. Yeah. So whatever I've covered here is what is class, how to create instance, how to create object, how to add the values inside each and every object, how to access class member. I showed you that with the new keyword, you create the instance, and with this dot operator, you access the properties or the attributes. So by the way, just to make sure, make it clear, everything that lies inside a class are called as class members. This is a class member. These are also class members. Members who stays in a class is a class member. Simple, nothing fancy here. Okay. So in here I have attribute and properties. They are all class members. Okay. So how to access class members? With the dot method. Dot property. You say dot, and then you basically able to access all the attributes and properties. All right. Let's move on to the next part, which is here. Okay, this is the understanding Java objects and memory management. I told you that some time back that this is a stack memory. This is a heap memory. In the heap memory, you have different objects created. And if you watch this section of the video, I have spoken about garbage collection, how Java automatically collect the garbages. Okay, and what is garbage? I have explained this part over here. This is theory. I'm not really going into it. You watch this section, you will know it. It's very, very clearly explained. I've given some examples for you to understand that what is a garbage collector, why the garbage is creating, why the garbage is getting created. I have explained that, and how it is being tackled. I've explained that also. It is tackled automatically. Okay. So please go and watch this. What are methods and its usage? You know it by now. Methods are nothing but properties, ideally, where you are trying to perform certain task. The main meaning of method is do not repeat yourself. Do not repeat yourself is the main concept that methods are trying to address with. Meaning what? Meaning very simple. If I want to add two numbers, I'll say 2 plus 2 equals to 4, right? I can keep on doing this. If I want to get the same value of 4, I can keep on doing this 100 times. I can keep on writing a code to add the same, to get the same value 100 times. Okay? To get the same result 100 times, if that's my requirement is. Okay? But that is a stupid way of doing it. Okay? Here in this process, what am I doing? I'm repeating myself. I'm repeating myself 100 times. 1, 2, 3. I'm repeating, keeping on repeating myself. This is not how programming works. In programming, the basic fundamental of programming is that if you are seeing duplicate code anywhere, try to condense it down into one single entity. If you see duplicate codes flying around in your code base, figure it a way how to condense it down into one single entity and then call it from various different, call it for various different requirements you have. So you see, here I'm trying to add two numbers and I'm doing it like 10 times. That is not what I should be doing. Rather, what I should do is I create a method, and I showed you how to create a method. Method is nothing but the way I showed you, public void sum, and the sum is going to accept two parameters, int a, int b, correct? Int a, int b, and in this method, then I can just say sysout, and I'm going to say a plus b, which will print out the summation of two numbers. So once I have this method created, I can call this method 1,000 times. Sum 5 plus 5, sum 10 plus 5, correct? And I can call 10 plus 6, whatever. I can call this n number of times, meaning what? The main operation of adding two numbers, what I've done, I've condensed it down into one single method, right? And then I'm calling it 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times, doesn't matter. But this is called do not repeat yourself, dry principle. This is the general concept of programming you have to keep in mind. Dry principle, okay? It has nothing to do with object-oriented principle. It is a general programming principle. Whatever language you use in your future job, you can use the same concept, dry, okay? If you see something that is repeating, put it down into one single entity and call it 2 times, no problem at all, okay? So that is that, and then, so that is what I'm saying about methods, and then I move on. Understanding scopes, all right? Very simple thing. So I'll just finish this part and then I will take a quick break. What is understanding scope? I think I've explained this, but I'll do it again. So scope meaning that every entity in programming or in Java, for example, is having a scope. For example, this class garage is having a scope, which is starting with this bracket here and ending it over here, line number 32. You see, over here and over here, correct? That's the scope of garage, right? And then what do you have? You have in line number 6, you have the attribute. This is a variable. This is the member of the class garage. Everything over here is a member of the class garage. Okay. In this property, you have a load cars. It's a method, and this method is having its own scope, starting from here to here. This count variable is within the scope of this load car method, meaning I cannot access this count variable over here. Look, I can't. Count equals 10. I can't. Count is not accessible. It says count cannot be resolved to a variable. Means what? Means this variable that I've added here in load cars is pretty much private only to this scope of the loads car. I mean, of this method. Nobody else is accessing it. Okay. That is what it is. Make sense? That is basically scope. So there are two different scopes ideally. Look at it. It's called a global scope and a local scope. Local scope, I just explained what it is. Whatever is local to that entity only. Whatever is global, that means something that you just keep below the main class creation over here. This is a global scope, meaning these variables can be accessed by all the other members. So you see brand, model, engine size, seating capacity, everything can be accessed by every other properties in the class. Correct? That is what is called as global scope. Local scope, global scope. Okay? So that's pretty much about this particular session. Let me just quickly check something. But what do I have next? 6 plus 6, we have, okay, we have Selenium, we have understanding the architecture of it, and then we will quickly do a creation of our test case, and then plus 7, we have HTML basics and understanding the architecture. Okay, we'll see how much we can cover that, but definitely I can cover the other one. Okay, so I'll take a 5 minutes break. Let me get some water for myself, and then we'll come back and start. Ellen, you have a question, please go on.
Yeah, I just wanted from the code, for example, 21, line 21, how best do you, so that syntax is where sort of like struggle, how best can you remember how to write the syntax? So especially, or maybe line 20, for example, line 20, the plus plus, the dash dash, and all that's.
Syntax is something that will come to you from practice. You cannot think of, so that is why I said practice, practice, and practice from day one. That is the only way you can remember. I can, you can call me up at like 3 o'clock in the morning and ask me a program, I can write it for you because I have been practicing for such a long time. You will get there, but then you can only get there if you practice. When you try to write a syntax, okay, which is why the videos are given to you. So you watch the video on the left-hand side of the screen, and whatever I'm doing in the video, okay, you try to practice it on the right-hand side of the screen.
Mm-hmm.
The left-hand side, you watch the video. So I'm probably talking about a particular program, right? When I'm writing a program, just watch it all, okay? And once you watch it all, you pause the program, pause the video, and then try to mimic that in your right-hand side. When you do that, you will firstly understand what is that syntax looks like. In the videos, I've already explained that why those syntaxes I'm using. And then you will know how to use those syntax. And then obviously, when you try to write it on your own, you have to go back and you have to play and repeat. And then you will be able to complete a syntax for a program, and you run it. When you run it, many times you will find there are errors. I see in the Slack channel, errors are coming like, they have missed a semicolon, or maybe they have missed a plus sign. That is natural. This is a learning curve every new guy in programming goes through. It is absolutely natural. It will come to you automatically. It will be a part of your finger muscle memory, right? When you keep on practicing, Ellen. It is not a rocket science. It is just a practice. Think about it. If I ask you to write French on the day 1, will you be able to do it? You will go back to something to learn a particular sentence and try to write it down. It's exactly the same thing. You keep on practicing and it will sit on your memory.
All right.
Make sense?
Yeah, it does. Just I feel like it's slowing me down because I'm still in week 1 and right. That's why I was just
Yeah, I understand. You will get there. You will get there. The point I can tell you this, Ellen, at the initial stage, maybe a month of this training that we start, month or one and a half month, if you are putting the pressure on yourself, and if you're engaging more and trying to clear more assignments, clear more doubts with me, putting more time towards the training, this initial 1.5 month of hurdle will take you a long way, because this is where you are trying to build your muscle memory. Once you get to a certain point, then it will automatically be in the flow, right? You don't have to really think twice for creating, like how to create an array. Right now, if I ask you to create an array, you will fumble because you have not practiced. But after a month or 2 months, if I'm asking you how to write an array, you'll be probably getting it done like 100 times by then, and things will be much easier for you to immediately recall that, okay, for the array, I have to use this syntax. But to get there, the only option is practice.
Yep.
Okay. All right. I'll take a 5 minutes break and come back and start from here. Thanks. Okay. So we are going to learn about the next section, which is basically our Selenium. We're here to learn automation testing, and Selenium is the library which we will be using in order to interact with web applications, correct? So what is a library? If you remember the first or second class, I've explained what is a library. Library is nothing but people like you and me has created multiple different classes together and combined them into a package, and then thousands of packages together, they have created a jar, and thousands of jars together, it becomes a library, ideally, right? So in this case, Selenium WebDriver is nothing but a jar that I'm getting from a system, from this particular company. They have worked on it, and they have given us this amazing tool to interact with web applications. Okay, so what is Selenium? Selenium is a free open source browser automation tool, which means it can be used to perform different kind of actions in a website, like entering user information, clicking on certain elements, navigating to a particular page, selecting some value from a drop-down, so on and so forth. This was built way back in 2004 by ThoughtWorks. There was a guy called Jason Higgins. He built this tool, and then it initially came into the market with an add-on to Firefox browser. It is still there. It's called Selenium IDE. Using that, you can do some record and play kind of stuff, but that is very, very, very immature. What we would like to learn here is Selenium WebDriver and Selenium Grid. These are the two different components which will help us to write or implement some custom logic, and that will help us to interact with web applications. That will help us to create some business case, and that is what we will be learning. Okay, so then let's move on to the next part here. How does Selenium work? So basically, Selenium used to work in this particular protocol until Selenium 3, Right now, we are in Selenium 4. It has a different way of working. Earlier, Selenium is to work as this particular architecture shows. So on the right-hand side, you have browser. In the left-hand side, you have test. The test that we will be writing using the Selenium library and Java. We will be writing a test. And then in between, there will be something called as WebDriver. So basically, what happens is we have to write a syntax which goes like this. WebDriver driver equals to new. You know what? Let's not do this. I'll say Chrome driver equals to new Chrome driver. This is the exact same thing which we have seen in case of creating a class object. So Chrome driver is a class that is given to us by the library that we will be attaching to our project. Okay. So this Chrome driver library will have access to various different methods which will let us interact with the web application. As soon as you write this line and you execute this line, what happens is it is to create a server, a REST API server in the background. The server is basically there to listen to certain requests that we are trying to send to it. So the request that we send to it, we send the request in a JSON wire protocol format. What is JSON? JSON is nothing but a data structure, which is very popular these days. So JSON, right? It's a very popular data structure that looks something like this. If you can see, this is a JSON structure. What you see here is an object, not a Java object, but a JSON object, which I will explain later on. But for now, it's an object called rules. And inside this object, there is a array called as align. How do I know it's an array? Because you see there is a square brackets. So it's an array called as align, and inside the align, there are 4 different values that I can set. Again, there's a ban array, and there are 3 different values I can set. And then there's another attribute called class name equals true. And there's another array called as comment format, where I have 3 more values. This is a JSON formatted data structure. How do you create this data structure? We will talk about that in future. But for now, understand that to communicate between 2 different entities in the web world, JSON is one of the most preferred option to transfer the data from one entity to the other entity, right? That is exactly what is happening in our case. Meaning, if you look at the diagram here, so you have test, and you are sending an instruction. For example, there's an instruction called as .click. It's a method given to us by Selenium WebDriver library. So behind this method, there is an instruction. The instruction was sent through JSON wire protocol to the WebDriver library, WebDriver REST API endpoint. And this REST API endpoint will then process this information to perform an action in the browser. When the browser action is performed, the browser will give back the response back to the WebDriver that it is positive or negative. If it is negative or positive, whatever it is, that feedback will come back to the test. This is basically a simple structure of Selenium WebDriver that we used to use till Selenium version 3. Wherein Selenium version 4, here it is a little bit different. It is not really WebDriver. It is not really JSON wire protocol. It is W3C protocol that is used. W3C is another renowned protocol that is used for any web communication. It has a big white paper that you can go and read, but I don't think it is too much to really talk about, or if I do it, it'll distract our main purpose. You can read about W3C protocol later on, but for now, you understand with Selenium 4, we have W3C protocol to really send the information across and perform an action. Earlier, it was JSON wire protocol. That's a pretty much difference between 3 and 4. Okay. So let's understand what is jar. I have already spoken about this. Jar means Java archive. You get this Selenium WebDriver in a jar format, and we attach this jar into our project in order to access its libraries or classes and methods. So installing and configuring Selenium into project, it's very simple. You go to this website called selenium.dev, which is right here. Selenium.dev. When you click on this, you come to this particular site, Selenium.dev, and then from here, we can basically start exploring more. What we want to do is we want to get to the download section. And ideally, we are going to get this guy, Selenium Server Grid. This particular version is what we have right now, 4.8.1, and we can basically use this. So if you just click on this link, this should download the jar file in your system. I'm going to put this jar file somewhere in the location, and then I can use it from there. I have shown that process in the video, in the actual video, the class video. You please follow it and use it there. Today I'm going to show you another way, and it's called WebDriver Manager. So we will be using something called as, we will be using Selenium Server, obviously, but at the same time, we will be also using another tool called as WebDriver Manager in order to perform a few more steps. So let's try to, first and foremost, get this server added to the project. What I can do is I can put this into my local folder. So for example, let me just show it here to you. Hold on. Just a second. Documents, dev work. Okay, so I have this folder here. I'm going to quickly create a new folder, and we will just name this folder as WebDriver. This is Selenium, okay? Within this Selenium, I'm going to add in this server. Oops, let me just get that back. Or I'll just add it. Okay, I've added this jar file right there. Okay, and then I'm going to do something in order to get this file into my project. I'll add this file into my project. How can I add this file into my project? I'll simply go back to my project, which is right here. And in here, then I can add this jar file into my project. How do I do that? I can do that with right-clicking on this project and then go into properties. And that will open up this wizard window. Go to Java build path. Everything that I'm showing you here is already given to you in the video. So please look into it again. Click on Java build path, go to libraries. Okay. And then under class path, under this class, you click on this class path and you say add external jars. And that's where you go to the dev work or wherever you have kept it. I'll go to Selenium and I go to this jar file and I open this. And that's how I added the jar file into the project, and I say apply and close. Once I added the jar file into the project, if you go to the reference library section of your project, you will see the jar file here. If you open this jar file, you will see there are thousands of packages. If you open any one of them, you will see .class files, meaning these are all what? Compiled files. Okay, so thousands of packages are there under one single jar file, and this jar file is going to be my library that will help us interact with the what? Web elements. Make sense? Good. So I'm going to now start writing some tests. This is the first thing that was required. I'm going to create a new package now, and then I'll name this package as automation.
Sorry, sir.
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Do we have to add for that jar to each project that we do, or if we add?
Yeah, it has to be added to each project you do.
Okay.
If you are trying to create a project that will hold Selenium test, then that project has to have this jar file attached to it.
Okay.
Yeah. But in future, we will show you another system, and it's called as Maven. Using Maven, adding these dependencies. So this library is a dependency for my project to run. So this dependency management will be much easily tackled when I will show you what is Maven, which is why there are 12 different modules that I teach. And every one of you, when you have spoken to me in a one-to-one call, and when you have seen these list of tools that I'm teaching, some of you have felt that it is overwhelming, but trust me, everything is related to each other. So Maven is the solution which will help us to solve our dependency problem. So anyway, we have created this automation package, and I'll say new, and then I'll say class. And then let's say, I'll create a simple main class here. So I'll just say Selenium main, something like that. Simple. With a main stuff here, main method here. So I'll put this here then, and then under this main method, we will try to create an object. So look, I'm going to say Chrome driver equals new Chrome driver. Correct? When I write this line, Chrome driver equals new Chrome driver, meaning what? I'm creating an instance of Chrome driver, correct? Because I want to pull up my Chrome browser. I want to trigger my Chrome browser. Chrome driver equals to new Chrome driver. When I try to do that, I'm getting some error. Okay? If you hover your mouse on the error, it basically says what? Chrome driver cannot be resolved to a type. Meaning what? Meaning that Chrome driver class is not a part of this project. Okay? It's not a part of this project that it can be directly accessible. It is a part of an external library. So in order to access this external system into this class, I must import that class in this class. So if I go and if I just say Chrome driver and say import Chrome driver, look, immediately it adds this import statement, meaning it is basically saying that Chrome driver class is residing under org, and then there's an OpenQA package, and then there is a Selenium, and there is a Chrome, and then Chrome driver. And this is true. Why? Look at it. You go to org. Okay, you're in the org section, and then we go to OpenQA. We have OpenQA, and then we have Selenium, and then under Selenium we have Chrome. You see selenium.chrome, and if you open the selenium.chrome, you have Chrome driver. Do you see that? That's how we are accessing it. Okay, so that's that. So you access this over here. Once you access it, the error is gone. Good. The first line I'm going to write here is driver dot get, and let's try to call a website here. So https amazon.co.uk. Good. I'm creating an object of Chrome driver, and then I'm calling a method with that driver called .get method, which will let me open up the Chrome browser first, and then it will let me open up this application in my browser. Okay, let's test it. So run as Java application. Okay. Let me just open up my show view console as well. Okay. Let's just trigger this one more time. Run as Java application. Okay. Oh, it was just starting. My bad. Okay. Now this is Mac. In the Mac, you don't need to. So there is something that we have to understand. So it is all about the architecture of the Selenium WebDriver that we have to a little bit understand more. So what happens is that, just a second, guys, hold on. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is that, let me go back to the Selenium. Okay. So over here, whether it is WebDriver, accessing WebDriver through JSON wire protocol or W3C protocol, in order to interact with from WebDriver to the browser, there is one more thing that is very important for us to understand. And that is called as browser driver. Browser driver. Okay. Depending on which browser you're using, you have a separate driver. So this interaction that is basically happening between the WebDriver endpoint and the actual browser is happening through this browser driver. Okay. And with that, what is happening is that it is now requiring us to add this additional browser driver into our project, into our configuration of Selenium WebDriver. Just 1 minute, I want to check something. Okay, if I go back to the Selenium.dev, and if I just go down a little bit under browsers, and you see you have these different browser, and then there is a browser driver for each and every browser. So documentation, and you can see there is a downloads link, and it says downloading Chrome driver. So this Chrome driver is required in order to work with Chrome browser. So you need Selenium WebDriver jar, that's obviously, but on top of that, you need also Chrome driver in order to work with it. I need someone's system who can show me your system. And if you are in Windows, then I would like to show you how to configure the Chrome driver in Windows so that you can start working on it. There are multiple ways to do this. I'll show both the ways. Is there anyone who can share me their screen? Maybe, I don't know. Do you have Ellen? Are you using Revit?
Already.
I'm sorry?
I've done that already.
Okay, I've done that
already. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Who else didn't do it?
I haven't done it, but I'm using IntelliJ. But
Okay, that's
not sure
fine.
if that'll make a difference or not.
No, there's no difference.
Is it okay if I haven't done it? So is it okay?
Yeah, absolutely no problem at all. Just show me your screen, Dean. I'm making you co-host.
Oh,
Okay, now you can give me the access, Dean, to your system.
yeah, sure.
There's a remote button. You can click on that and give me the access, please. Do you see a
Right.
remote button?
Yep.
Okay, I have the remote access to your system. So let's just do this, right? There are two ways to basically get this thing done. I will probably do it in a new project. I'll create a new project here, new Java project, and we will just say Selenium test. Selenium test, okay, with that's it, right? And then once we have this, all I'll do is I'll go back to the browser, and over here I'll go back to the selenium.dev, right?
Right.
I'll go to selenium.dev, and once I'm here, then I go and I download the jar file, which is 481. Okay. And once I have this, let me probably put this jar file into a location which is safe. I'll put this in the desktop. So just say Selenium. All right. And within this folder, then let me add this jar file just like that. Good. Now let's just go back to the Eclipse and let's just add the project. So Selenium properties, go to Java build path, and then you do libraries, and then you do class path, and then you say add external jars. And then you just choose the location where you have kept your jar file, which is right here. Open, and that got added. Apply and close. That's done. Now just go and create a new club package here. New package. A package name is test Selenium. And in this package, my bad, hold on. Refactor, rename. Okay, if you are ever doing some mistake about the naming about your package or classes, always do this, refactor, rename, and just make this all lowercase, all right? Because package names are always lowercase. That's the naming convention. So new class Selenium test, right? With the main method and finish. So we have this guy here. And what we're going to do is, let me do one thing before I go anywhere. Editor, sorry, preferences, font, colors and fonts, basics, text font, edit, and we just go a little bit bigger than this. apply. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say Chrome driver, same thing, exactly what I was saying. Chrome driver equals new Chrome driver. Correct. And you have the error as well, so that's not a problem at all. What you're going to do is you're gonna do an import. You see import, and you imported that guy there, which is perfect. And then you just say driver.get, and then you just say HTTPS amazon.co.uk, correct? And what you do is you trigger this run as Java application. If everything is fine, then this should trigger your Chrome browser. Windows security. Okay, that's good. We don't need the Chrome driver anymore, I suppose, because just a minute. What is this guy? I think it is asking for an access. Can you click on that, please? The second last, this guy.
Yeah, sure. Allow access.
Yeah, can you access that? Allow access.
Yeah, done.
Okay, let's trigger the run again. Okay, that stopped. So run as Java application. Is it running in your other desktop? Dean, is it running on your other desktop?
Yeah, I've got Amazon running on the other side.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So good. I think in that case, the latest version that is there
Yeah.
with Selenium WebDriver, we don't need to configure this additional browser driver. I think this jar file is capable enough to get everything packed up. So basically, in order to get the system up and running, we can just directly do it without anything else. Earlier, we required to add another line here, and that line was basically there to access a separate browser driver called as Chrome driver. Let me just do one more thing. Let me just create another driver called as Firefox driver. I'm sorry. Firefox driver ff equals new Firefox driver. I want to just check if it is given to us by, for all the browser support or not. My bad, right? No, I haven't spelled it right. Yeah, here you go. Okay, and now I'm just going to say ff.get and same thing. Okay, and let's just run this one more time. I want to really see if it is working for both of them or not. Obviously, you need to have Chrome and Firefox system installed in your in your system actually. Otherwise, it will not work.
Okay.
Okay, I see Chrome was there, and I see Mozilla Firefox is failing. Okay, so I think they have added the Chrome, but for Firefox they have not. Let's just see what is the error. If you are controlling as well, Dean, please leave it to me. I'm not able to scroll this section. Yeah. Okay. So it says, 1 minute, Dean, let me just do it. Okay, could not start the session. C program files Firefox Marionette. Session not created exception. Okay, I'm not really understanding what's the error here because I can't see it. Okay, it is not really talking about the Gecko driver that we generally use. It is something else. Chrome driver exception session not created. Driver capabilities. Okay, after you see what is this error all about? It could be, I have to test in my own local to understand. They have kept on giving the new versions, and I think they are requiring something else here in order to make it work. So we'll see that, But your Chrome browser is running fine, and that's pretty much that is required for now in order to get started with the automation. So Dean, thank you for sharing the screen. I think everybody else can also configure that, okay? So let me just go back to my own screen now, just a second. All right. So with the Chrome browser, we have seen that it's very easily configurable, and we can start using it right out of the box. Dean, I have left a message for you in the chat. Please take a look if you can, and reply me
Okay.
in WhatsApp probably if possible. Anyways, so what I'm saying is that let's go to the next part, which is here, and you just saw me running one single command, that was .get command, to bring up amazon.co.uk. I can just show you a few more things that will give us some idea. So let me just trigger this test one more time so that is this stopped, right? Yeah, it is stopped. No. Okay, so let me just trigger this execution one more time. And when I do it, you will see the Chrome browser coming up, and I will then perform some actions on that, okay? So you see, I did a .get method, and that got me this page. But if I want to start interacting with this page, right? I have this accept cookies button. I want to click on this so that this section can be hidden, right? So in order to do that, I have to understand the details of this button. How can I do it? I can right click on this button and I can say inspect. When I do it, it opens up another section of the browser, and we call it as inspector tool or whatever it is. Elements tab ideally. In this Elements tab, you can see that there is a button here with the ID called as A auto ID 0, something like this. Okay, so ideally I can use this to click on this button. Okay, or for now what I can do is I can right click on this, okay, this button. So something like this, I can just go to inspect, that will take me to this guy here. And over here in this tag, it is called HTML tags. Okay. In HTML tags, for now, we can right click on this and let's say copy XPath. Right now, this is what we are going to do. But in future, we will learn about each and every of these tags, and we will know how to create a custom locator. Okay. So what I'll do now is I will quickly write the next line. So driver dot find element by dot XPath. This is a syntax that will, sit in your mind forever. For now, just try to look into it and just try to figure it out what I'm going to do, and then performing a click here. So look, this is what I'm doing. I'm trying to say that once the browser is open, I'm trying to say find an element with this particular identifier and perform a click operation. You can see this entire line that I've written is having multiple dots. Do you see that? There's one dot here, and then there is one dot here. You must be wondering what kind of logic is that? So far, you have seen us using only one dot in order to access this method. Or in case of car class also, when I was clicking on dot, I was saying just one method that I was trying to work with, or one attribute I was trying to work with. What is this where I can say driver.find element and then dot click? How is this possible? I will explain this next week. How is this possible? There's a very good reason why it is there, and it is absolutely required for you to understand why you are able to actually write a system like this. Okay, we'll explain this next week. But for now, just see that I'm saying driver.find element.click, meaning driver, please find an element with this identifier and perform click. Cool. Let's just run this and we'll see from there. Okay, so I think what it is doing is it is somehow clicking on, oh yeah, it did click. You see, it took some time, but it did click. And then that button is gone. Right? So this is ideally what we do in automation, but in a much larger scale. Right? So good stuff, guys. That is exactly where I end my class today. I will resume from next week and we'll learn more and more about Selenium WebDriver. But before that, just give me 1 second. Let me just see what we have. Selenium WebDriver. Yeah, that is where it ends. And in the next version or the next class, I'm supposed to discuss about HTML, right? Because that is where you will get to understand what is these different HTML tags and how to navigate through them, okay? And how to find the element uniquely in the page. So sorry, not this, but this guy here. So understanding HTML structure, understanding WebDriver using Chrome driver. If you watch this video, you will exactly know what is supposed to be done as a Chrome driver earlier, and understanding browser console, discussing HTML tags and attributes, how to inspect web elements, those kind of things. So a lot to learn, and then you can also probably get started with class 8, 9, and 10. In 8, what we have is if-else statement, understanding access specifier. So I have given you a little bit of introduction in class 7 and 6 about Selenium. And then again, in 8, 9, 10, we are going to talk about Java, because we have to little bit juggle between both Java and Selenium at this stage until we kind of get a stability. And then from there, we will learn more and more and more automation, okay? Right now, I'm just trying to build your foundation. And then I'll get to a stage where we'll talk only about automation and framework designing and whatnot, okay? So again, 8, 9, 10 talks about a lot of things like access specifier, like Java methods, like inheritance. It's a Java object-oriented programming concept, which you have to learn and we have to know how to use them. And then 8, class number 9, you have the constructor, very, very important. I don't know, probably next week if I can start the constructor, but it's very important. So constructor, overloading, polymorphism, overriding, runtime polymorphism, all of these things are required for us to build to a level, to get into a level where we can start implementing frameworks. As an automation developer, your primary requirement is to learn framework development, okay? Because if you go to the interview, the first question you will be asked is, what framework have you worked with? If you're not able to say the structure of the framework, how it was functioning, how the data were extracted, okay? I will give you a set of questions anyways. If you're not able to understand that, if you're not able to explain that, then interviewer will not be happy at all. So we have to get into the framework development section and then we can build on top of it. But to get till that, a lot of core Java concepts are required, which is what we are trying to build here. Anyways, so that's pretty much about, go on, Ellen.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, the course that we're doing, is it to the standard of a software developer in test, or?
Yeah. So software developer in test is the ultimate goal that you want to achieve.
Okay.
But with your experience where I am pushing you to the market, I'm going to basically push you to a market as a quality engineer, not a SDET, because SDET is someone who are required to build automation framework as well.
Okay.
So you can basically, so in the interview, depending on what they are looking out for, you can, change your pitch. You can go and you can say, hey, I know how to develop framework, okay? Or if they're looking for just a quality engineer, then you can go and you can pitch as well as, as a quality engineer. The main point is that you need to be in a zone where you can explain the framework in a level where they will know that you understand the very basic concepts of, like, fundamental concepts of framework designing. I'm not expecting that as soon as you go into the job, somebody will ask you to implement frameworks. Because in order to implement a framework by understanding the architecture of the entire organization, it is something that needs to have a practical experience of few years to get to that position. But my push is this, right? I'm trying to get you to a level where you can go and give an interview as a SDET and quality engineer. A lot of time what you will see is that they're asking you to join as a SDET, but it doesn't mean that they're asking you to build a framework from scratch. Maybe the framework is already there, but they're just trying to see if you can make, improvement into those framework, right? So they will ask you certain more like scenario-based questions saying, hey, tell me about this. What if I ask you to extract data from XML file and push that information to your test case? Now, this question is something little bit inclined for a SDET profile, because in this case, you have to really understand what is the existing framework looks like. In the existing framework, how the data is being pulled, and then how I can create a solution without hampering what is already existing. And then with my solution, I can also push data from Excel to the test case. You understand?
Yeah.
So the point is that this is where interviewer will ask you whether you are capable enough to create your own solution or not. That is the end goal, ideally, for automation engineers to get into SDET platform, and then from SDET you can go to test architect, okay, where you are not only designing the framework, but you are basically controlling the entire testing of an organization. Okay, from CI/CD to test framework development on your front-end application, back-end application, mobile application, everything, CI/CD, everything. So that's where test architect comes in place. But that is like, you can think of like 6-7 years. But now when you're joining, you can pitch yourself as a SDET or as a quality engineer. And that's where you go into the company, start getting a practical experience, and then from there you grow.
Okay. Thank
Good.
you.
No problem at all. Thank you so much, Anand. Guys, thank you so much. I will send you guys some email after this class, maybe tomorrow, in order to register for the final class. I mean, for the actual class, right? And I will send you all the information there, so you can take a look and let me know what you think. Okay. All right, guys, that's it. Let's see you next week. I will also send another Zoom meeting detail. So this Zoom meeting detail will be probably over. I have to check, but I'll send another calendar invite to all the participants of this class, and then we will continue from there. Okay, so I'll send you that. Thank you so much, and have a great week ahead. Learn more, guys. Learn more. All right. Okay. Have a nice weekend, guys. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.